Now back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show, which is presented to you by Power Planter Earth Augers, the official digging tool. To find the right size for your digging project, visit powerplanter.com. Now here are your hosts, Joey and Holly Baird.
Welcome back to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show. Question and answer time. We're going to get to some of your questions. If you've got a question, you can submit it two different ways. That'd be the easiest. You can give us a call at 1-800-927-SHOW, 1-800-927-SHOW, or you can drop us a line. You can call us anytime, 24/7, whether right now while we're on the air or, 3 o'clock on a Saturday morning. It doesn't matter. You can get the question submitted to us, and we'll get back to you. If you want to send us an email, you can do that by emailing gardentalkradio@gmail.com, gardentalkradio@gmail.com. You will get connected to us. Well, we had a couple of calls come in this week. Let's go to Bob. He listens to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show on WOGO 680 AM and FM 103.1 out of Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. So let's see what Bob has to, what he's looking for.
Yeah. I just wanted to ask about tomato problem or tomato situation. My tomato plants are starting to kind of wilt on the bottom. They're real tall and everything, and they already have. These are cherry tomato plants, by the way. And I just wondered if that's normal because I've grown tomatoes, the same kind of plants, in years past, and I never noticed that. But my memory isn't perfect, so. But anyway, maybe you could tell me if that's bad or good, or don't worry about it or whatever. Thank you.
All right, can we help Bob out with his tomato question?
Yeah, Bob. So that is called early blight, and that is the yellow.
Even though it's midway through the season, it's still early blight.
Yep, that's still because there's good and bad things in your soil, always, and early blight is one of them. So what you're going to do is you're going to trim off the bottom portion of your tomato plants.
Portion being
about 6 inches.
Yeah. Okay. The bottom half. No, don't. That's too much.
6 to 8 inches.
Or up to 25% of the foliage, full coverage of the plant. Yeah.
Right. So this will help prevent a lot of the splashing. Another thing is you can take whole grain cornmeal. So next year you can do it at the beginning of the season, and then also about halfway through the season, just sprinkle around the base of each plant. And then also mulch is good as well. Yeah,
always try to mulch around the base of your tomato plants. Mulch around any of your plants. It does a couple of things. We talked about this on the program last week or the week before. Mulch suppresses weeds, holds moisture, and during the hottest portion of the summer, it can reduce the soil temperature from 3 to 5 degrees. Now, you may not think that's very much, but a lot of these plants are very sensitive when it comes to the heat in the soil. So if you can keep them moistened and the mulch on top of them, you can actually reduce that soil temperature by 10 or 15 degrees. It's a tremendous benefit to utilize mulch. And mulch can be anything from chemical-free seed grass clippings to straw to shredded leaves. We pile a lot of leaves up each year in the garden when fall time comes and utilize it in the early portion of the spring. Pine needles work very well as a mulch as well because it doesn't break down and it doesn't make your soil acidic. As many people may think, that simply is not the case when it comes to the mulch. With mulching with pine needles, and you can use shredded paper. That'll break down very quickly over time. And there are biodegradable weed fabrics or plastics to a certain degree, if you want to call that biodegradable. That's what they're labeled. It takes many years for it to break down, but it doesn't, with the sun hitting and the UV rays and all that. So yeah, trim the bottom tomatoes, utilize some mulch, and see that definitely will, and the whole grain cornmeal will definitely. You'll see a tremendous difference in the success and production of your tomato plants. Let's go to Minneapolis, where Leonard listens to the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show on KDIZ 1570 AM. And he's got a question, I believe it's about cucumbers.
The question is, my cucumbers are not producing fruit. Seems to be lots of blossoms, lots of bugs or bees around, but not producing any fruit, and I just wondering what the problem might be. In the past, I've always had good luck with cucumbers. Thank you much.
All right, can we help him with the cucumbers, Holly?
We certainly can, Leonard. So what's going on is a lot of times, or every time. Fine crops such as cucumbers and squash put out their male flowers and then they look for stimulation. Are they going to get that stimulation that they need? And then when they feel that that's proper, they're going to put out an equal or a greater amount of female flowers. So when you see these plants flowering, you want to take your finger and just touch the tip of that flower. It's going to stimulate that plant. It's going to put out the female flowers. Then you're going to have a successful fruiting. Also, we want to keep in mind that he's in the Minneapolis area, which is zone 4, which is a little cooler. I don't know, depending on the time of year, obviously, but that also is a very big factor in cucumber production is the ambient temperature. Cucumbers, soil temperature-wise, they don't like it any colder really than 65 degrees. That's why people will try to get a jump start on cucumbers early in the season, and they don't do any good. They perform very poorly because that soil temperature is far too cold. And then later in the year, they try to grow another crop. They do good. And then the evening and the nighttime temperatures get cooler, and they don't like that either. So it can be a very variable factors of, you want to touch the flower to stimulate the plant to say that there's a lot of bees and pollinators out there. And also you want to make sure that you're in a very sunny spot when it comes to the planting of the cucumber. All right, let's go to, I have 4 cabbage plants, and I have 4 cabbage plants, which one has a head started on it. They are covered with a white mesh, and I heard that they should flower in order to form heads. I've never heard of this before with cabbages having flowers on them. Any idea why the other 3 have not started forming a head, and should I uncover the cabbage? Henry asked this. Well, you do not, that's some more misinformed information about the cabbage has to flower before it puts a head on. That's simply not the case. If you've got 4 and 1 is already beginning to head, the other 3 will not be far behind. Just give a little patience. Now, if of all of them, if there was none that was forming heads, then I would say, okay, now we need to look at, is there something going on with the roots? Is there bugs? What the case is? But give it a little time. They will gather their stuff together and put heads on the other 3 cabbages. Excessive nitrogen could cause plants not to head upright. Also, soggy roots, alkaline soil could also be a reason why heads are not forming. But with this instant, he's got 1 out of 4 starting, and I think the other 3 will be just real close behind. Okay, so I have a question that came in from my friend Deanna.
All righty.
And she is new to canning, gardening.
The whole thing.
And she had asked me, she wants to make pickles out of her pickling cucumbers.
Okay, at least they're pickling cucumbers, because you don't want to do slicing cucumbers and making pickles out of them, because then you got a jar of mush. That's what you end up with.
Right. And then her friend has a brine recipe.
Okay.
And I had asked her, I said, do you want to do shelf stable or refrigerator cucumbers? And she said shelf stable. And she wanted to know if she could just make the brine, let it sit, then do the pickles, and just make them hot and then seal them. Okay.
The easy answer, the simple answer is no, and we'll explain step by step here why here.
So I provided her with a link to the National Center for Home Food Preservation. Again, it's the National Center for Home Food Preservation, about safe pickling practices, safe canning practices, safe water bath canning practices, and all the whole 9 yards.
Right.
And that way, so she has that information. But first of all, when it comes to pickling, especially cucumbers tend to get mushy. So you want to do this quick and efficiently. And then also,
it's a time thing.
It's a time thing.
Oh, I'll do a little bit now, a little bit later. You got to do it all at once, or don't do it at all.
Right. So quick and efficiently. And then also that you need to use a recipe, like a trusted recipe, not just like your pals, grandma's.
And I know some of you are just tired of hearing us talk about early blight and reputable, safe recipes when it comes to canning.
But it's because we care about you.
Right.
Right. So, so I explained that to her, that you need to be safe, you need to do it properly, you need to follow the directions, it needs to be a proper recipe. And I prefer to use, and I know Deanna, we grew up we went to the same high school. She's also a city girl, and since this is her first time canning,
Okay.
I was like, you can use this pickling package mix that you can get at Fleet Farm
Right.
or
What's
hardware store.
Yeah, because there's some people who don't have no clue what that.
Okay, it's Mrs. Wages.
Okay.
So if you're like, I don't know if I want home canned pickles.
At a farm store or hardware store,
Yeah.
they have these. The grocery store has them as well.
Yeah. If you're like, I've never pickled before, I don't know if I'm going to like home canned pickles, because that's how I feel. Like, Joy and I made home canned pickles from Pickling Spice, Brian, whatever. I didn't care for them. I like this Mrs. Wages stuff. So if that's your jam, that's what I recommend. It gives you all the directions on the package and everything. So, yeah. So that's what's up.
Yeah, follow the instructions, do it right, and enjoy it.
For more information, please visit the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com.